Let me know when we're live. Oh. Rahubat, Rahubat. How's everyone doing? I see D. Shelton's already online. Yeah, welcome everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Rahubat, Rahubat. Let me rewind that for a little bit. Draco, Rahubat. Lonnie Bennett, Rahubat. Jason Spears, Bananu 9, Rahubat. Ashok. Rahubat, Miss TBJ. Always good to see you guys on the live. Let everyone know we're live. Master teacher. Master teacher. Freedom for the master. Master teacher. Rahubat, Rahubat. Rahubat, Son Ra 999. Ashok. Divine love. Unconditional divine love to you. Master teacher. Hey, Dorinda, Rahubat. Kelami, Rahubat. Rahubat means greetings. Rahubat. And for Emmanuel. Welcome. Akhlun. Yeah, we're just waiting for more people to join the live and then we can get straight into it. Okay. Wawe. That's okay. Rahubat, Lonnie Bennett, peace. How's the master teacher? That's the song you can hear in the background. Love and unity, freedom for the master teacher. Yeah, he's tired, fed up, wants to come home. That's how he is. You know what I mean? He's actually, I don't know, it's like, it's so simple what he's asked us to do. And I guess it can be quite frustrating for him when we don't do the basics, which is just literally get along and come together on the love and unity and just, you know, just put to practice all that he has taught us. Of course, different people are at different levels. That's a given, but still, you know, sometimes the basics that we don't do means that our job is harder, and he obviously remains in the position that he's in. So this is OSM Vision, live and direct, Ask Us Anything, Season 2, Episode 17, where you get your questions answered. Wu-Sabat, that's what we're here for and about. Wu-Sabat, the fastest movement for world peace on planet Earth, Project 24, Sector 24. And, you know, it's based on facts, based on truth, and giving you the opportunity as the god and goddess that you are to use your own mind, do some research, check things out, you know, because you have to confirm things for yourself. It's not hearsay, it's not second, third, fourth hand information. It's things that you can go and research for yourself. Keep studying, asking questions until it sits well with you. Some of us are naturally able to just discern and pick up energy and vibrations and know things. Some of us are already starting to use our higher senses of, intuition, psychometry, clairvoyance, telepathy. So these are things that you can use to know and feel vibrations in terms of, so you can make up and decide for yourself in terms of, what's going on. Because you have to be the one that says to your inner being, remember that your inner being is something or some entity that you cannot really lie to. You can't lie to yourself because you still hear the voices in your head. So we got to try and make simple things simple. Don't complicate things. Just do the basics and we're good. All right, so let's get into the questions. Remember, you can call in live. Yeah, we're going to give you the live number. You can call in if you'd like to ask your question live. And most importantly, join our Telegram group. Yeah. And we always putting out new videos, so we want to know, have you liked our video? Have you liked this latest video that we put out? If you have, we put in the poll up. There's a vote if you liked the video. And do you like this live as well? Like, we keep saying it because if you're watching us and you tune in regularly and you feel that, we're giving you value, all we ask of you is to like the video, share it, subscribe if you haven't already done so. And that helps us with the algorithm to make us more available to more people. And remember, we're literally just scratching the surface. We've got so much to share with you guys. And, we're literally scratching the surface. What do I mean by that? There's some 8 billion people on the planet, so we're obviously trying to reach as many of those people as possible. So when you're looking at numbers in the thousands, it's good, but we can definitely do better. And we can do better with your help, with you sharing, liking, subscribing, and tuning in regularly, watch the videos over and over again, because sometimes there are little nuggets that you pick up with I might break something down in one video, and in another video, I add a little piece to it, so make sure that you watch the videos. So for calling in, I know we've got a call already, but the number is +44 for the UK, 753 996 3882. Callers get priority. So I'll repeat that number one more time before I take this first call. +44 for the UK, 753 996 3882. Rahubat, first caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question? Rahubat.
Yeah. My name's Teray. I'm calling from Birmingham. I just wanted to send a question in today. I've been watching you guys for quite a while now, but I haven't read any books.
Okay.
So I just wanted to basically ask now. So if I was to pass over, how long would it take me to reincarnate? I don't know if that's a sensible question to ask, but I just asked as exactly what was in my head.
Yeah, okay. Every question is sensible, man. No question is too little or too complex. We're here to do our best. And the question is, if you were to cross over or pass on, I know you said pass over, but you're crossing over, how long would it take for you to reincarnate? That it's almost like you want to come back when you say how long will it, like you can't, it sounds like you can't wait to come back, and most people don't want to come back here if having experienced and gone through the experience here. But the question is really dependent on you how you've developed in terms of your growth spiritually, mentally, etc. So normally you have 70 days to visit loved ones and, like go around and kind of like leave messages or visit loved ones. When I say leave messages, you can actually, what people might consider like an inspiration or a thought, or do certain things to let them know like your presence, etc. before you leave. So at the very minimum you have those amount of days. I'm pretty sure it's 70. It might be, yeah, between 60, 70, no maximum than 90 anyway, but I think it's 70 days from recollection. So that's the first amount anyway, because you're still here. And depending on what you've done in terms of your actions, not just about your actions, but your intentions as well. Because sometimes people can, do something and look good, but really the intentions behind that might not be good or agreeable. Like sometimes people don't think that because, like how social media is, like someone can just type something and put an emoji, like a nice smile and flowers and all these icons, and you don't really know the intentions when they're doing that. Like you might just look at that, a smile and go, oh, they're smiling, but they might not be, because you can't really see them. So it's the same thing with actions, the intentions behind the thought, etc. That's also a part of, when they're looking at you, looking at your being, looking at how, do you need to come back, or if you've now got to a point where you've built enough spirit and soul force to basically move on. So it all depends on you, what you did whilst you were here. Did you help people? Were you selfish? And most of the time, if you're somebody like the Master says that has done something positively for humanity, then that it's like you don't have to come back. And so yeah, the question is literally, it depends on you. And some, it depends on the person, the being, because even like some babies that are born and they just return straight away because they've been here so many times that was like their last incarnation, and they don't want to come here no more. Some just don't want to come here because they don't like the energy, or they don't find it agreeable, so they will just go back straight away. I'm saying that to give you the spectrum of, it depends if you're a baby, if you're a child, if you're an adult, and what did you do with your time? How did you cross over? Was it peaceful? Was it violent? Did you cause it? Did you unalive yourself? So it all depends on how you cross over as well as what you're looking at in terms of your matrix, because everything is recorded. Every single thing you've done or do is recorded, and those records can be pulled up. This is why sometimes it's funny, because when you get to a point where you realize that your deeds, your actions, and even religion will say, or most culture will say, you get a judgment, and they will say the judgment is like you're being judged by a god, or do you know what I mean? And like, even if you look at ancient Egypt, where they say that you're being judged according to like the Ma'at feather and your heart, weighing your heart and stuff like that. It's like there is some form of what people call judgment, but it's really you judging yourself, because everything you do is recorded. And that whole notion about angels sitting on your left and your right hand side in terms of Islam, it's all really you. So I've broken down many times that your eyes are solar panels, everything you touch leaves an impression. It's like a digital footprint on the internet. Everything you do, your thoughts, everything is recorded in your matrix, or in these discs called the me discs. So yeah, it's a broad question. It's like everyone is at different stages and different levels, and some will not come back, some will come back straight away. And yeah, so I hope that's given you a taste. So the best way is to live Wu-Sabat, because Wu-Sabat helps you to know about the physical life as well as the spiritual life, and about your soul, about the different aspects of you, because you're really you come here, the different aspects of you come here from what we call, and they come as physical ethers, from natural ether energy, and you know, the matter becomes physical ether energies, and then they form the different parts of you. So you are still connected by energy to the different parts of you. All right, let's see what questions we've got. We've got D. Shelton. Greetings, please tell us what a day in the life of a Sabian looks like. For example, what practices are a must or recommended daily? Thank you so much. You know, again, when you say life of a Sabian, Sabians are different people, different ages, different, you know, races, different parts of the world. Some, just like normal everyone else on the planet, some work, some are business people, entrepreneurs, etc. So everyone's life's going to be slightly different, but I do get the question. There are some things, like basic things that, you know, that people take for granted, like, and this is going to be a little nugget for you, yeah? Things like just making sure your nose is clear, like your nose is not blocked. So you clean your nose, obviously the hygiene stuff, I'm not going to go through all of that, but the reason I'm mentioning the nose is because most of the time you have to make sure you can breathe and take in air, oxygen, because that's what fuels your, what you call your the breath of life. You're alive, and you might, if you've never done it before, like obviously you use water to not hot water, just like lukewarm water to clean your nose properly, and just to make sure you can breathe, because breathing is so important. But everyone is different, but some of the things are obvious, like the chanting that we do 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and then 9 p.m. Meditate if you can, if your routine allows you to, because you should really meditate in the, you know, in the mornings, what we call mornings, or early, when you come out from the shadow hours, and again before you rest, because that just helps to kind of like calm your mind and prepare you to deal with anything. Most Sabians, well, again, I can't speak for everyone, but we know about the pattern in terms of intake of like water. You should drink water, a glass of water on the hour if you can. And glass is important and not plastic, because obviously the energy is different. But you also we don't eat normally really before 12. But as I said, these are just like the generalizations, because we know about the cycle in terms of when you should ingest things and when you should allow those things to digest, and then when you let those eliminate from your system. So there's that cycle in terms of food intake, the water on the hour, the breathing, and if you can, if you have the ability to fit in the exercise. And exercise doesn't have to be really strenuous, and you know, you could just do stretches, you know, press ups, sit ups, things like that to, yeah, get your energy flowing right. Your diet's important, and being aware mentally of how you deal with, and you know, when you're in the space of other people, how you allow that to affect you. All right, we've got another caller. And okay, Rahubat, caller, what's your name, where are you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Rahubat Saken, my name is Kenyan Mwangi from Nairobi, Kenya.
Rahubat.
So, okay, my question is, I was trying to find out what happened to Egypt, the way like, now it's like a desert. Was it, I know it wasn't a desert, like the most part, so is there a story of what happened and it became like a desert?
Yes, got you. Yeah, there were, you know, what we call like conflicts, just like now today, if you look at most places, even if you just take what's been going on recently, like in LA and in Ukraine and, you know, like Palestine, Israel, and so forth, like there were conflicts. There's a book that the master teachers put out called Ancient Egypt and the Pharaohs. That's a good one if it's available to read. And you know, you had many conflicts with like different dynasties, and then you had invaders, people that came into Egypt, much like I'm saying what's going on now, where people will go and fight for land when it's not even their land. And you had like, you know, like different beings, like even what they refer to as the Hyksos, or what we refer to as Hyksos, the Hyksos dynasty. And that's when the Europeans came into Egypt and started to do things and desecrate the place. And later on, you know, you had a lot of like tomb raiders and movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and, you know, certain movies, they depict and show you, you know, like people going into the to raid and like dig up and literally just savage the place. But yeah, most of it came from conflicts and, you know, like invaders, foreign invaders coming in and changing things and creating things. And over time, it eroded by way of, you know, the weather and so forth. And that's why we're going to be rebuilding, and we're rebuilding, and we already rebuilt in Egypt of the West. But yeah, that's what kind of took place with foreigners coming in, taking over, and in terms of they were, you know, for a short period of time, you know, but when you're taught about Egypt, you know, the European presence, the Phoenicians and people like that, that the Hyksos dynasty, they make it sound like they were ruling and were in Egypt for a long period of time, but it was really more at the end. You also had, like I said, the different dynasties and the different pharaohs. Like you had the pharaoh referred to as Khufu. Now, Khufu was one of those people that opened up. Just, it's kind of ironic to what's going on now, you know, like the borders with Trump kind of like sending people back and blocking borders. So it was like Khufu opened up and allowed the immigration rules to be basically laxed, and then different people came in and just desecrated the place and brought their cultures and stuff like that. And then you had a lot of like the Greeks that also came in there with their ways, and, you know, this is where you get a lot of like the Europeans. They always quote the Greeks as being, when they talk about the ancient people and the ancient times, and trying to say the people that created and gave you the Renaissance, and like they're so smart. But when you dig deeper, you find out that all of these people actually studied in Egypt or were initiated in Egypt and given the information. So this is your Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and, you know, the many Alexandra, who they say the great, but, you know, the great deceiver. Many of the Greeks and Romans also then ended up integrating with Egypt, as you know, in terms of Cleopatra with Mark Antony. And yeah, that was kind of the downfall. But DB, thank you so much for your donation, showing us love. I shook. Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate of that. You didn't have a question, so I just want to show gratitude. All right, so that was going back to the practices. Obviously, I was saying that the mental state is important, because the thoughts that you have to guard your thoughts, because a thought can take you from your center, in terms of remembering to try and just be balanced beyond your center, because we know the duality when you come here. It's like you got a center point, and then if you look at what they call the pendulum that swings from left to right, yeah? And those are 3 points, the middle one, where you have to try and remember to stay on your center and don't let people push you either way. All right, but I'll come back to that because we've got a caller. Hey, Rahubat caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Robert second. My name is Ntiti Mohabi. I'm calling from Lesotho.
Rahubat.
And my question, Robert, and my question is, when it comes to chanting and meditating at 3 a.m. in the morning, because these portals open, is that to a specific time zone or anywhere you are at in the world, as long as it's 3 a.m., that's the best time to pray? I mean, to chant or whatever you do.
Okay, tap. Yeah, so the times for the chanting are 9 a.m., 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. And if you are happen to be awake at 3 a.m., that's also a good time. However, the three, if you want to say obligatory ones, are like 9 a.m., 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. And the reason, like you ask, is it doesn't matter where you are in the world, there will be those 3 times. And because it's a continuous thing, right? So no matter where you are in the world, there will be a time where it's 9 a.m., 3 p.m. or 9 p.m. So it's kind of like, because we're all doing it at different times in our time zones, it means that at any point somebody is chanting, so we're keeping it going, we're keeping it continuous. And that's the main point. Yeah, so that's why, because it doesn't stop. It's continuously going on. And even if you're not able to do it because of your circumstance, then somebody else is doing it, which is making up for you, if you get what I mean. So, yeah, it's done deliberately, because that means it's continuously, it's like just looping with different people chanting at those times, all right? At the 3 a.m. one, obviously, at that time is when, you know, certain portals open for beings that are supposed to leave here to leave, as in, you know, their spirit and their souls, if they're ready to go. And unfortunately, then others also slip in and come in when, if they're not supposed to. But, you know, there are other portals that are being opened by, you know, like experiments and people dabbling and doing things that they're not really supposed to be doing. Yeah, obviously I touched, going back to that question about the mind and making sure you don't easily get swayed. You have to recognize thoughts travel, thoughts have weight, thoughts have a vibration, even your own thoughts. So you have to be constantly monitoring what's going on, because even like the media and adverts and phone calls and different people's energies in terms of wherever you are, they're constantly coming at you. And so you got to be constantly mindful of checking yourself, checking your ego, checking how you're responding to people, the things you're saying. It's all about mindfulness as well, trying to say what you're going to achieve today, like make it a positive, productive day, and hopefully prosperous as well. So you have to have goals and things you have to do. It's good to write things down. It's good practice to, you know, have a list of things that you want to achieve. And then at the end of the day, whatever you eat as well, remember, food is supposed to be nutritious and give you, you know, minerals, give you, you know, vitamins. And so, yeah, be careful of what you're putting into your mouth, who you're dealing with, who you're around. And at the end of the, what we call shadow hours, you kind of like do the same. And it's good to, I mean, the obvious things like having a shower or have it soaking and cleansing all the energy and things that you may have picked up during the day. And then studying is essential. Try to, you know, read and study something within Wu-Sabat. You might even have on your list to learn a few words of the language, a word that you find you use constantly all the time. You know, say, okay, I'm going to like commit and learn one word every day. You'll be surprised that you learn so many words by the end of the year. Study, you know, whatever your, we did a video about how to be a success, kind of look and watch that if you haven't done so already. Okay, D. Shelton, it's Dorinda again. Can you share a chanting with us and its meaning? That's something that, takes a great deal, and we do the chants. You're in the groups. There are many groups that you can join to do the chant, and it will take up a lot of time to kind of chant and break that down, because you have to be in a particular state of mind. Oh yeah, the other thing is the way you smell is important, because, like, for example, you may burn incense when you're doing your chants, and yourself as well. We have the all oil, which is a very unique scent. But the reason I'm mentioning how you smell is because there are all types of entities. It's not just the physical beings that you're seeing, and the ones that repel what they don't like, they won't come near you. These are all things that you protect yourself, and kind of like your mind, your thoughts, your clothes, your smell. All of these things are important. All right. So I hope that's giving you a bit of a flavor on what. Obviously, do some good deeds. If nothing else, for what can you do to help with Wu-Sabat, with the master teachers, legal, with fellow brothers and sisters, the elders, the Karadu children. All right, cool. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, you already answered that, Loney. Your Bennett. How's the master? The master just wants to come out. I would always say to people, well, how would you be if you were wrongfully incarcerated and have been there for over 20 years, and you're innocent, and the games that keep being played, and then you're watching the plight of your flock and the people that you've raised, and how they're behaving, how they're not really achieving and doing the things you taught them to do. One of them being as simple as knowing how to get along with each other and love and unity. Leon Carter, Rahubat, can you talk about tarot cards readings? It's a very broad question. We've covered this before, but we don't really dabble with tarot card readings, because in the sense that we kind of we know our fate, so we don't really need someone or some other thing to kind of say, well, this is what's going to happen, because we understand that you are in control of your destiny, and destiny happens when you arrive there. So, but there are people with gifts, where we call it alchemy, and in the Bible, tarot readings and these kind of things are considered to be sorcery and negative, especially when you look at how most people today use it to make money. And so we kind of just know that our actions are going to result in, the things that we achieve and we get. So it's really more about learning the sciences of how to use your powers, your latent powers. But there's positive and negative in everything, or agreeable and disagreeable in everything. Some people do have the gifts to be able to, see things, hear things, and it's about learning about those gifts that you have and nurturing them. All right, let's keep going. Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah, Lavi. Thanks again for your donation, Lavi. Greetings. First, thanks to the master teacher and Wu-Sabat for all the good information. So I have 3 short questions. Please look at my name. Okay. All right, let's try and find the questions. Okay. Right, 1. God's last. Which can you explicate? What's that about? And which God are they talking about? I don't know what, when there is no hell, where do the evil people and end up when they die? Okay, so we can kind of like go from the bottom up then. So that one is quite clear where the evil people go or end up. Some beings are trapped here in this physical realm and they can't leave here. This is like, if you read Revelations 18, it talks about how the earth has become like, you know, with unclean caged spirits. So some beings can't leave here because you have different realms, and so yeah, the one what you're referring to as evil, there are different realms that go down as well. So you have lower abodes, and you know, if you read, if you read the scroll, like the physical you after the spiritual you after the physical you dies, it kind of goes into that. What and Where is Hell? That's another book by Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, the master teacher, Pana Babyanun. So it all depends on who you are, and what people call hell is really the hell that you give yourself based on your creation and your like state of mind. But yeah, there are different abodes that these people get trapped on, and some can't leave this planet, and they're here roaming around as disembodied souls. This is where you get things like walk-ins and possessions, and you know, certain beings take over. You said where there's no hell. Hell is a state of mind, and it's also a place in the sense of the different realms and abodes that you can be trapped in. So what was the other question? What's that about, and which God are they talking about? God's last. I'm not quite familiar with what you're saying. Do you know what that means, God's last? Yeah, if you could just clarify that. And then you said God's last, is that explain or explicate? What's that about? And which God are they talking about? Yeah, that bit's not clear, so if you can just clarify that whilst we take this call. Hey, Rahubat caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? And what's your question, please?
I'm calling from Atlanta, by way of New York. I don't want to apologize if I don't ask the question properly. But, you know, again, there's no stupid questions, there's stupid answers.
That's right.
My thing is this, right? Is there like 9 figures to date, right, that have not on the level of the master teacher, but have a significance in life right now that can place us as a people in position? Like, say, if I wanted to point out, like, someone who has knowledge as to the master teacher does, is there another individual that we can reference in terms of has the same focus, has the same agenda, has the same goal? Because what I hear a lot of, right, with a lot of conscious people, is that, I'm gonna get to my point, I apologize, is that we have a difficulty of connecting landmass and water and us as an entire race. And Europeans don't have that problem. Europeans don't have the problem. They just, no matter the water, no matter the land, it's like, this is what our goal is. This is what we're doing. And it's time that I think we need to be open. If we have the guide and we have the leadership of the universal galactical order, how come, no, I'm not saying how come, we should be able to work together and at smaller units. I don't care what it is, you know, to build capital, to build banks, to build business, to build smaller programs. I mean, how come, I mean, I had a lot of questions, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How come, like, how come we can't get with a person like, what's that last guy, Carson, and say, okay, listen, why don't we become the next CNN, or Black CNN? Let's get with Sonetta and talk to them. There has to be some kind of politics that we can, like, right for ourselves so that we can conduct business.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying
apologize.
to.
I don't know if that was a question, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, King. Roll back.
Right, right. No, I get you. We are doing it. Firstly, right. The mindset of we can't or why don't we is only when people are not doing it they feel that way, because everything that you've said is being done. The thing is that it's not being recognized or seen on a wider scale, and that's because a lot of people are still afraid to be themselves. And the first part of your question is actually simple. There is nobody else, because to be on the level like the master, he's basically given us the formula for everything. He's given us everything we need, from our language, our culture, everything that we need. And he's not only given it to us, he's actually raised up many communities and shown us how it is done. However, the biggest problem is because a lot of people still have in their genetics and in their DNA foreign DNA with 6 ether forces, which they've been programmed with all their lives. And this is why we say it's not about your skin suit or your skin color. It's more about, are you allowing this information, Wu-Sabat, to transform you? Because your actions are based on your thoughts and the way you think. Because that's why we go through the stages of right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding, which leads you to sound right reasoning. And once you apply the information and you work with those, like you say, you got many billionaires, millionaires that could just come together. If you were applying right knowledge, you would easily be able to go and reason out that when people go to the NFL or NBA or whatever to watch games, whether it's basketball, soccer, as you lot call it, football, all the stars that people are going to watch, if they all just came out and formed their own league, even the music industry, etc., then that will be done like that, because they are the ones that attract the people to come to the games. It's the same where you have, as you say, like media. But what people do is they go into the current system and industries and try to change that from within. So you have, people like Tyler Perry, who he's got his own studios. But what I'm basically saying is that we have everything we need. The problem is applying Wu-Sabat and eradicating the 6 ether forces and living that culture. And everything you have actually said, I know personally is being worked on by different people that are working together, coming together. So you just got to get together and do it. But the biggest problem is because we don't have the master out right now with us, and that caused a lot of chaos and division and finger pointing from different people to say, it's your fault, or I'm doing this and you're not doing that. And that was by design, but because there are, infiltrators, and there are people that are against this progress, and they know that their time is up, and they know that, with Wu-Sabat, it means they're ending. So there are many factors to why this is not happening, but it's happening at the same time, but it's not happening on the great scale that you may want it to. All right, we've got another caller. Rahubat, what's your name? What's your question? And where are you calling from, please?
Rahubat, my name is Lon. I'm calling from Botswana.
Rahubat, what's your question?
Yeah, there's someone in the church. She's asking, who is the devil? I want you to ask.
Who is the devil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There are many devils. This is another trick. Like, when you're being told and given this illusion that there is only one devil, there are devils, all right? That whole thing about one devil being in hell with the pitchfork and the horns, that's just like a basic story. But it depends on which culture, which level you want to go to. But really, You know, that it's like offspring. Devils have children. The devil can come in many, many forms. From the being we refer to as Nana, Tarnush, Iblis, depending on the language you're using, Apep, you know, there's so many different terms. And when you say the devil, with Wu-Sabat, you have to break down what the word means. The devil means a false accuser, right? So anyone that is accusing someone falsely is the attribute of the devil. We say the devil because when the definite article is put in front of it, it makes it sound like it's only one. But it tells you the devil fought against the dragon and prevailed not. The dragon and his angels, and then you have many beings on the planet having offspring, the serpent and his seed. You know, zera, the word seed is sperm in the language. So yeah, this illusion of the devil can come as a job, as a paycheck, as a student loan, many, many forms of the devil, where we start to go into the beast and Leviathan. And what does that mean? Because you're dealing with this 6 ether energy forces. But let me take this call. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Yes, this is Kali Monk again, calling from Mexico.
Hey, Rahubat, Mexico.
Rahubat.
What's
Yes, I had to take a break from Cali, Los Angeles. I know you guys heard about all the marching and all that stuff, and I don't give too much attention to all of that. My main focus right now is declaring my sovereignty and stuff like that, and being free, and being away from being a debtor, and being away from being property of the United States, and declaring my sovereignty. That's the order of the day right now. But I wanted to know what is Wu-Sabat's stance on nationality and sovereignty? Because I know that you have some teachings from the Moor Science Temple, and have most of the nation and stuff like that teaches about sovereignty. So I just wanted to know, what's the stance on that, on nationality and sovereignty?
Right. Thank you. So we already the indigenous people on every continent and on the planet, wherever you go. So this whole thing about, nationality and status is like, if you have to go to somebody else to tell you that, it's kind of like the civil rights, fighting for civil rights back, in those days with, the Martin Luther King and all of that, Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam. It's like we are already sovereign. We have already declared and retained our sovereign status. So we are and we've proven that, because by way of the fact that to be a sovereign, you have to have certain things, right? To be a sovereign nation. And they're just certain things that this scroll here, the 33 commandments, right, of the Sabians, literally goes into that. And I'll see if I have some time, I may, be able to read it. But not unless we have certain things in place, which we had, can we claim to be a nation. Or to be sovereign. We're already sovereign, but you need to have your own language, your own culture, your own land, your own flag, right? And if you look throughout our culture, these are all things that we've got. And obviously our land got stolen, and during the time the master teacher got, kidnapped. So the problem with these other people, and when we say problem, we're saying that, most of their doctrines and their information, I'm talking about like the Moors, or if you're talking about, the noble Jew Ali, and then to, Nation of Islam with Honorable Elijah Muhammad, etc. Their foundation was based on being a religion, and also tied to, Arabs. So really, they didn't have their own language. They didn't have their own land. They didn't have their own culture. didn't have their own flag. And even the flag that, you know, the red, gold, and green that you see the Rastafarians with, that flag originated really from when you go back to the Mahdi's flag, you know. So we are the only people that have everything that, even if you went to the United Nations or to, like, we're not trying to ask people for anything because we are already sovereign. We are a retained sovereign nation. And if you look on the back of our scrolls, you see that it says the United Nuwapian Nation, and it obviously ties into some of the tribes based on the lineage of, you know, the master teacher, but it tells you here, a government of retained sovereigns, indigenous, right? We're indigenous everywhere on the planet, but yeah, but we are working on getting those things back, like our own land, so that we can convene and come back together. At the moment, we're actually dispersed all over the place. But I hope that answers your question. Let me take this call. Rahubat, what's your name? Where you at? Where you calling from? What's your question, please?
Hi, Sakin. My name is Sharita, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. How are you?
Doing my best, Sharita. Rahubat, how are you?
Good, good. I just want to say I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and please continue. My one question that I have is, I hear you say that Wu-Sabat is for everyone, but, and if this is stupid to ask, just let me know.
No,
but
go ahead.
Okay. I kind of feel like it's for the melanin people. Like when you talk about it, I feel like it's specifically for us, and the other religion that they created is for them. Is that okay to think?
All right, let me answer the question. ATL in the house. You know, when you said that, you hear me say it's for everyone. No, what you missed out is we say it's for everyone who will accept it and will live it and put it to practice. And by that, naturally, some people are never going to accept it and they're not going to practice it because of arrogance, ego, racism, many, many things, right? But when you say melanated people, I have to constantly, again, address the fact that everyone has melanin. So if you just use the term melanated people, pretty much everything on the planet has melanin. The difference is that you have those that are recessive in terms of their melanin, as in it's going in a reverse, and you have those who are dominant and produce melanin, like ourselves, especially when we come into contact with the sun. The sun actually helps to exaggerate and produce more of your melanin, whereas the reverse happens with other people who are recessive, where the sun will actually burn them and they can get something known as lipoma or leprosy or skin cancers. And you know, this is also medically referred to as Hansen's disease, which phonetically ties into Ham's son's disease, because obviously Ham's son was Canaan or Canaan, as some people say. So Wu-Sabat is for everyone who would like to live in peace and harmony and who would accept Parnabab Yanun as their savior and as, you know, the future, which it is, but not everybody's going to accept it. So it's, let's just put that little caveat that it's for everyone who will accept and live by it, because the problems we're having at the moment is because a lot of people are living under the 6 ether chaos system, and all you have to do is transform that to 9 ether and live under Wu-Sabat, and we will get along. So I hope that's answered your question, that it is for everyone, it is for humanity, but not everyone's going to accept it. So it is what it is. Those who do, who gravitate to it by way of their DNA, by way of their ancestors, it just flows naturally. And those who don't, they won't, you know. So that's the reality of the case, all right? Let's see what other questions we've got. I have to say nadum, which means sorry in our language, that sometimes you know, you can get cut off and you lose your thought at the moment. So that's why we ask everyone to remember the link to join the Telegram group is in the chat. And we've got 8 billion people on the planet that we want to make sure they know and get an opportunity to live Wu-Sabat. First time live, peace, make me aware at all times. Question, what is the grey line that will allow us to work together as different nations? You know, the first thing to do is start with yourself, because, you know, and this is not directed at you personally, but we are very good at being, we should do this, or point the finger. I think this, I think that. Why doesn't somebody do this? You know, we're like the best soccer players, but what we're sitting down in a chair watching it on TV. It's about you applying it to yourself, because if everybody starts with themselves individually, and that's what you will focus on, you will find that you will all meet up. Because if you're applying Wu-Sabat and doing the things of Wu-Sabat, you're only going to be vibrating on that frequency. And then when you come into contact with others, you will just, you know, you'll be on the same resonant frequency. So it's about starting with yourself first. Turning yourself inside out and getting yourself to put the knowledge, put the things you're being taught and told into practice. Read the scrolls, start applying them, see what happens. And Wu-Sabat works. You know, once you read the books and you apply it, and you kind of start to commune with other people, it's the rest is actually quite straightforward. The grey line that will allow us to work together as different nations. Yeah, it's basically be yourself. When you're trying to be other people or trying to take over or control other people instead of focusing on yourself, that's where the divisions and the things like religion and, you know, things that make people divided, you know, divisive. It's like those are the things we need to eradicate, and you will see people naturally come together. And that's what Wu-Sabat's doing. Do you or anyone converse with Dr. York over the phone? If so, would you be able to talk to him on a live? The first part of the question is yes. The second part is no, because there are rules in terms of, you know, privileges and who you can speak to, when you can speak to them, and, you know, and there are stipulations of what you can and what you can't do. So instead of trying to speak live, we want him to be live, be out live with us in the physical. That's what we should focus on. Okay, can rubbing oil have an effect on your vibrations? Absolutely. What types of rubbing oil is good? So we use natural essential oils. Remember that your skin is porous as well. So you got pores basically. If you use a microscope or some other device and look at your skin closely, you see that you have pores. Yeah. So natural oils without alcohol that don't damage you in any way and that you're not allergic to. We have the oil, as I mentioned before. That's a very good one, as well as others. You know, people have like frankincense, myrrh, many different types, as long as they're natural oils with no additives or alcohol, because a lot of these other ones do have alcohol. I know Draco, I know I'm a high-ranking god. Would my twin flame be the same thing? I hear her voice guide me. Her and her spirit team are guiding me through whispers. So, so what's the question? Because you asked me, would my twin flame be the same to be the same thing. But if you hear her voice and she guides you and you speak to her, then I'm not being funny, but I guess you could ask her, because only really you know, because you're the one that is hearing her voice, she's guiding you, etc. So talk to her. If she's the same as you, ask her. Do you know who Yahawashi is? Again, that's from whatever 973. Again, when people ask questions, we say, give us the reference. If that sounds like a mistranslation of the word Yeshua, because I don't know where that phrase you're using is coming from. What's the reference? Give us the reference, and then we can go into more detail. But if you're saying Yeshua, then that's, yeah, Savior. And if you go again, what book or what reference are you referring to? And we can give you more information. But Yeshua just means Savior, and there are different saviors to different people at different times. And our Savior is Partner Babyanun, because he's here, saving us. Okay, remember you can call in on the number live. It's a WhatsApp number live, and you just put +44 for the area code, sorry, and 753-996-3882 to call live and ask your question. And yeah, we welcome everyone to join the official Wu-Sabat Telegram, where you can ask questions to the many student teachers. There are other student teachers, different time zones, doing their best. They do such a great job answering the questions. They give you links, they post images, scrolls, books. You know, they give you real life information that you can, you know, Wu-Sabat is here, and it's a place like, you know, you can constantly be learning. Okay, Reflex 19, my friend, what do you think of the fallen angels being the leftover people from the Atlantean civilization, aka North America? I seriously and respectfully want to hear some good response on this one. When there are a lot of the beings that you're referring to from what you're calling Atlantean, those beings, they were taken up, and they were taken up with the being known as Alalu. And yeah, but when you say being as well, remember that you got agreeable and disagreeable. And when we're saying the fallen angels, those fallen angels, they're still here today. They lost here on the planet, and a lot of them are roaming. Some are disembodied beings, meaning they don't have a physical skin suit. And when we're saying lost angelus, it's really the word angels, lost angels, the angels that are lost here. And a lot of them, again, not everyone, of course, when we say things, you have to remember that specific things relate to specific beings, but then other people may just be innocent and get caught up in a situation. So, for example, you can say, you know, that place is not the place to live, but then they may be innocent people, or like some people might wear jewelry and they don't know the significance behind the jewelry. They're just following because they think it's a fashion. But if you know and go into the details and research what, you know, what does that mean? Why would somebody wear that symbol at that time? Why are they doing certain things? So, yeah, we're saying there are many fallen angels that are still here on the planet, because even in the quote Revelation 12:7, where it talks about the dragon and his angels fought against Michael and his angels, and they were cast down here, you see. So, and they're never to be able to return or come out of here. But those beings you're referring to in Atlantis, they were taken up, like the Mayans, they also were taken up. And yeah, okay, I hope that helped. Rahubat from Switzerland, Arlington. Hey, Rahubat caller, what's your name? Where are you at? What's your question, please?
Greetings. My name is Kelvin. I'm calling from the UK, but I'm Ugandan. I have two questions for you today. And my first question is, what does the word Wu-Sabat mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Then my second question is, as a man trying to like go on a spiritual journey, what's the best way you can advise me, like how do I find my purpose in life?
Okay. Thank you for your questions. Yeah, Wu-Sabat is not really just like a word that has just one meaning, because Wu-Sabat refers to the culture. That's what it is. It's the culture of Wu-Sabat. And within the culture, you have different aspects, like your dress, like your language, like the foods you eat, like your your dances, your music. Every aspect of a culture is what Wu-Sabat represents, and yeah, so that's what Wu-Sabat is. It's the culture, and the second part, how as a man would you go on your spiritual journey? We keep saying it's really the basics. First of all, like join the Telegram group, start to read through. You can search through it because there is a lot of information and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So you can use the search a keyword that you want to know about, because the questions have been answered many, many times. So when people first join the group, they're just excited and they will ask a question, but search through, read through what has been already spoken so you can get to know. Then you'll be familiar with the books, the locations, anywhere near you. And then once you start reading the book, start applying them and then start talking to people, get involved, because the books actually cover everything. That's what the master teacher did. He made sure it covers everything to do with spirituality, health, your mind, just name it. It's your language, everything's already there. So you just have to digest and actually take it on board. And by that, you learn the chants, you learn the meditation, the relaxation, you learn who the entities and the beings you're calling, you learn the rituals, how to communicate with your ancestors. And it just goes on and on and on in terms of the levels of what you're learning. And doing that, you're actually becoming, you're dealing with your spirituality, because you're going to change your diet. You're going to, your mind's going to be different because you now know what to think, what to say, what to do, etc., etc. We have another caller? Okay, so I hope that gave you some help. Rahubat, what's your name? Where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Right back second. My name is Stephen. I'm calling from the UK.
Rahubat.
And my question is, with dreams, can you be abducted kind of like in your dream, and these other entities do stuff to you? Because I had like two very intense dreams, I would say 2 weeks ago, and both of them had something, one of them had something to do with the moon, yeah, like flying over me and whatnot. And it was like back to back, so one night and the next night, and then the other one was like a spacecraft flying over, and then the alien kind of like came inside of me, if that makes sense. Not, yeah, pause on that, but yeah. Yeah, so
you might want to rephrase that, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, no, came inside of me, but like.
Again, right, have you finished? Shall I go?
Do you kind of like get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Yeah, one of the things we always say is nobody can really, I know that question wasn't about interpreting your dream, because we get asked that question a lot, and we don't interpret dreams for people, right? Because your dream is your dream. It was your journey, it's your message, and there are different types of what people call dreams, yeah? So there are dreams where you're just purging, what junk information you've recorded into your subconscious. So you might have been watching TV, movies, whatever, over a period of time, and you've stored a lot of these images and these things, and then you play it out in your dream. But there are entities that reside in different realms and different dimensions that you can come in contact with when you're in that spiritual body, when you're not inside the physical body suit that's on this plane, right? So it's possible to have encounters with these beings. You could even have battles and go through all kinds of things. And this is why we keep teaching about the importance of your spiritual development, because you can even get lost out there. And this is why sometimes people astral project or come out of their body and go to different realms and never come back. And people will be like, there was nothing wrong with the person or the female or male, and they just went to sleep and didn't wake up. So it's important to be aware of spiritual practices. This is why they say no, tomorrow is not really given to anyone, because you don't know. That's why your state of mind, the things you do is important. So yes, to answer the question, it's possible that you can have encounters with different beings and or go through certain tests. In ancient times, that was how some of the higher beings will come to you and carry out certain tests and initiations to see if you will wake up and remember them. So we have to learn to know that we should be able to travel these realms and be aware and conscious of what we're doing. And then when we return back to our body, you know, we still have knowledge of what took place. And one of the last things I will say is get a notebook and write down your experiences in terms of your dreams and so forth, so that you will be able to read through and put the date and time, and you'll be able to connect and see what's going on in your life, you know, what's going on, why you had that dream, and you will be able to figure it out and work it out. Okay, we got another caller waiting. No?
This is a question from the WhatsApp.
Okay.
And they would like you to explain in the Bible, Joel chapter 3, verse 8. And if it relates to you guys, it says, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. Okay. I would like to know if that's relates to you guys and this culture.
No, it doesn't. But in terms of Judah, obviously in the scripture, that's one of the tribes that Jesus went to and was sent to, because it says, I've been sent to the lost house of the sheep of Israel only. And then obviously the 12 tribes were destroyed, and the remaining 2 that were saved, because remember, some went north, some went south, and they got destroyed, and the remaining 2 were Dan and Judah, all right? And from that lineage of Judah is where you get Yehuda, really, when you pronounce it, and it goes and it ties back to the lineage in the biblical sense to the Mahdi of Sudan, because, you know, this is where, you know, that actually ties into the lineage of Al-Hadi, because when you see the master's name, his dad is Al-Hadi. So you've got, you know, you say Imam Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi, because the way the names go is literally would tie you, like, you know, he's Isa, his father's Al-Hadi, and then his grandfather is Al-Mahdi, which ties into that tribe of Judah, going back to the Dongalawi, or you know, there's a lot of information that goes into that. But in terms of the slaves, a lot of people mix up there are 2, like there's a quote that talks about, I think we did a video recently, the 400 years, which is dealing with those of us that were in bondage in the West, insofar as being under the spell for 400 years. And that's separate to the 430 years, which is dealing with the Israelites, okay? So the 400 years goes from the 1600, which is dealing with that last kidnapping, because remember you had the slave kidnapping of the 1400s, and then you had the one of the 1600. The 1600 is the one that the 400 years is referring to, and from 1600 plus the 400 years gives you 2000, which brings us to 2000 AD, where the 6 ether forces of the system you're in that's crumbling right now, the beast, of, you know, the 666, and the whole system is crumbling. And that's where the sun cycle came in and began from the year 2000 AD. In fact, it started from 9 of the 9th, 1999, which will be the 9th of September 1999. You see all the nines aligning. You add them all up, you're going to get the nines, you're going to get 36. 3 plus 6 is 9, dealing with 9 ether coming in. And so yeah, that's what's going on in terms of the Sabians that's been spoken about there. That's like today when people say we're Sabians, they think, oh, the Yemen or the people that come from, you know, that's sort of like the Ottoman Empire and all of that. That's not what we're referring to. We are referring to being tied to the Queen of Sheba, as they call her, but her real name is Makeda or Belkis in Arabic. So that Sheba ties into Saba, yeah, so phonetic, which ties into where our ancestors come from, Sabatat, Wu-Sabat, yeah, so meaning the Orion and the, you know, the Sirius star constellation. So our lineage is talking about that Saba to Sheba, you know, being that the female spoke, or as we say, Ma'at Kare in her tone, or people say Makeda or Belkis. That's what we're saying we are tied to, which is tied all the way back to, as I said, Saba or Sabatat, yeah, which is dealing with, and Sa'at, the Orion and the Sirius star constellations, all right? Okay, cool, let me move on. Rahubat, what does 2030 end of the world mean as we know it? Right, so we literally did a couple of videos on that. And this is not so everyone waits till 2030, because there are things happening now. You saw the incoming of, you know, the new president of America. You're seeing what's going on with the wars, with the fires, with the extraterrestrial now being more seen. It's the coming down of what we call Babylon, or Babylon the Great, which again is broken down in the whole of the book of Revelations, or the Apocrypha as they refer to it, which is dealing with what people call the end of the world. Not the end of the world, but the end of a world for some people, or the world as you know it. The world as you know it is never going to be the same again. And even like from just COVID, you know, COVID-19 happening, things have changed. A lot of things have changed. A lot of, you know, businesses folding. We're going to a time where between now and the end, you're seeing like Elon Musk with his robots, and people are going to lose a lot of jobs. You've got AI, you've got artificial intelligence. You're going to see so many changes, and the rise in consciousness means that, you know, no one is really going to be fearing this system, because it's on the decline, it's on the downfall. But if you're caught up within it, that's why Revelation 18:2 says what? Come out of her, my people, so that you do not partake of its iniquities, right? So this is where a lot of things are being implemented. A lot of, you can see like immigration. Yeah, just watch the, you know, the changes that are even going on just in America. It's happening all over the world, but obviously America is very influential with its new president. You see what's going on around Europe, you know. So there are, what we say is, the world is changing as you know it, because the 6 ether world is coming down and 9 ether is on the rise. And you've just got to be, yeah, you've just got to be someone that is in the right place at the right time with the right information to carry you through, so you don't, you know, partake of the atrocities and things that are going to be happening. Okay, Lizette Leon, Rahubat, we don't really use hello because hell is low vibration, low everything. So we say Rahubat, which means greetings. And you're watching from Mississippi, US of A. All right, welcome on board. And we are, yeah, all the new members joining, subscribing. It's amazing because We only need the number 9. You see it there, not 9 again. The 9 is done 9,000, and then we'll be at 100,000 subscribers. Can you guys help us do that? Just subscribe, share, like our videos. Yeah, all right, let's keep going. So welcome to the channel if you're new. Subscribe if you're new. Okay, still new to the channel, so glad I found it. That's from Coco Brown 555, like the name. Greetings everyone, Free the Master Teacher, Leonard Han. That's what it's about. Despite all the, rumors, infighting, this, that remains the objective. It's so simple. It really is actually so simple, us working together. Sometimes people just make assumptions and jump to conclusions without applying what the master teaches us, which is literally find out the facts, check things out, find out the facts, speak to people. Don't go by hearsay. Don't run ahead and let your emotions, that's what energy in motion, don't let that emotional energy run with you. We have an actual fact called emotional energy. For people that, they react and they jump the gun and they read emotional energy and feed in the forces, those are 2 actual facts that you can get hold of. You got a question?
This is on the WhatsApp from someone that doesn't want to call, but they want to ask a question.
Okay, they're cheating, but...
My question is, how do we create our own reality here on Earth? Also, as part of the creation process, do we need to believe what we want to manifest in order for it to be manifested?
Yeah, see, Wu-Sabat debunks things so quickly. You create things by your mind. Whatever you focus on, because it's like a blueprint, right? Remember that, like if an architect is going to build a building, they have to sit down, concentrate, draw exactly what they want to build with all the specifications, the measurements, think about the materials that they're going to use and why, what land is it being built on, what's the weather like. You go into real great detail to say, this is what I want to build. You draw it out, call it architectural drawings or plans, and then you go about manifesting that. It's the same thing you're doing with your mind, where you think of the reality you want to create, and then you focus on it, you think about it, you meditate on it, you speak with your ancestors on it, and you make sure that you cover all the details possible. And then your intentions behind it as well, and the vibration and the energy that you put behind it, then you bring it to life. Everything is done that way. First the mind, and then you bring it down. You may hire the builders, the carpenters, the electricians. Do you know what I mean? By way of you putting the detail into what you want to achieve. And you may have to change some things because of costs, etc., etc. But then you align yourself with the other people who have the technology, the skills, whatever you need to bring that about. That's why being in a community and working with people of like mind makes it easier, because you keep the money and the resources circulating within you as well, because, wouldn't you rather keep the money in your community, so you'll employ all the, like I said, people that are going to do the plastering, the carpenters, the electricians, etc., etc., and then you get the job done. And there was a second part to that, was there? It was the first part was, how do you manifest something, create your reality, and then there was a second part.
The question was, how do we create our own reality here on Earth? Also, as part of the creation process, do we need to believe what we want to manifest in order?
No, you don't need to believe it. You need to know that you can do it, because Wu-Sabat doesn't really deal with belief, because belief is just based on not knowing. So it's like saying, I believe that the marble floors are just going to come down. No, you got to know, where'd you get it from? And you find out. It's not about believing. So to make it happen, you got to know you can do it. And that's one of the problems, because belief, people just believe and then they don't actually follow through, because they believe someone is coming to save them. They believe in these stories and these books, they believe is from God, they believe it's authentic when it's not actually original. They believe all sorts of things, and everybody's allowed to have a belief, but you can't build anything solid on beliefs. You've got to know what you're doing.
This is the person that asked the question. They just said, how did he know I wanted to build a property?
Mind link. Yeah, that's what happens, because we have telepathy as well. We can communicate mind to mind regardless of distance anywhere. So yeah, that's how you build your reality. You literally, and you can be so detailed or so like basic. It's like when you ask people, if I was to ask somebody, how do you make a cup of tea? You'd be surprised how many people get that like wrong, in terms of they will say things like you put water in the kettle and you boil it, or they'll say you boil the kettle, like English, they say boil the kettle and then make the tea. But if you really thought about that step by step, you'd have to say, one, where are you going to get the water from? Two, how are you going to boil it? So the first time I just left out a lot of detail, like you don't boil the kettle, you boil the water in the kettle. And when you get the water, you have to first, is it in a bottle? Is it from a tap? So then you say, turn on the tap, close the tap, because if you don't close the tap, it will keep running. I'm just saying, like, when you start to go into the detail, this is what Wu-Sabat does. It goes into the detail to the point where no step is left unturned, because that's what a person that is building something solid would go into. Like, and it can take a team of people. So, you know, it's like, even in like masonry, they say the grand architect of the universe, because if you're building a universe, think about all the things, the detail you have to put in. If you're creating a universe, if you're creating a galaxy, if you're creating a planet. And now they've got games like, you know, The Sims and certain games now that, because gaming is a big thing, because you can build worlds within worlds. You can literally build a whole like planet and design it. You can design your house, your car, your tribe. Yeah, so I'm basically saying that's why the gods of the Bible, or the deities of the Bible, Quran and religious books, if you really analyze how they think, it doesn't make sense. This is not an all-wise, powerful, intelligent being, because the way he acts is very emotional, psychotic in certain instances, because one minute he says don't eat animals, then the next minute he says you can eat animals. He drowns people and things. He just acts emotionally. He's jealous. He's got all this emotion that you're thinking, bro, you're meant to be like the most powerful being. So the point is that he shouldn't be able to make mistakes. He can't make a man and then say grieved him that he created man. And then he says, you know, he created an angel, but he has no control over this angel that he created that's gone rogue and has become Satan. And he's now running havoc on the planet. So what I'm saying is, when you used 9 mind, intelligence, intel in your genes or the genetics, you respark that solar plexus in you, the real sun in you, and you start to think like the god and goddesses that we are. And then you see that your actions should reflect your mental. All right. Colin Francis, welcome to the team of OSM. Yeah, you've joined as a member. That's fantastic. And we want more of you to do so, because you get more. Oh, Claiborne Merritt, thank you so much for your donation. Appreciate, love you. You didn't ask a question, but much love to you. Divine love. Okay, all right, let's keep going. There's so many questions. The volume for me is really low. You might want to turn it up or adjust your volume, because normally when somebody says that, if many people are not saying the same thing, then it's normally your device or your side. I like all truth. Thank you for the student teacher and for the master teacher, heaven sent. Thanks, Mary Turner. I appreciate love. 9. Okay, last one. God's ego, death. Can you explain that? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That because the programming that people have on what they think God is, if you really think about it, is something that someone else told you, and most of the time it was just written in a book, right? And your parents or your grandparents or however long this spell has been placed on your family or your people, they read it, maybe went to church, to the mosque, to the synagogue, whatever. They accepted and believed it. They passed it on to their children. Their children passed it on, passed it on. So by the time it reaches you, you're told, you know about this God through a book or through stories that your people or your family or someone tells you, that he's in heaven, he created you, and he knows everything, can do everything. And then when you start to read what he's doing, and it doesn't make sense. So when you said the ego, yeah, because to say have no other gods but me doesn't make sense if there are no other gods for you to have. And the death thing as well, is like, why are you being threatened with death? Like, if you don't do as I say, I'm gonna burn you up and send you to a place called hell. Like, who does that? To burn forever and ever. And then we say, but scientifically, you can't kill energy or destroy energy, so you're not really, you're always going to be around in the form of energy. So yeah, the gods of the Bible are very egotistical, and then they get proven wrong anyway. And you can be made a god because, you know, if you go to Exodus 7:1, Moses was being made a god by Pharaoh. And then, you know, you go to Psalms 82:6, it says you are gods. Is it not written in your laws that ye are gods? You know, you can go to John 10:34. That these are quotes that would tell you that you are God. So what type of God are you? You look at yourself as God and you like, am I angry God? Do I lose my temper quickly all the time? Do I blame people? Do I point the finger at people? Am I jealous? Am I in control of my emotions? Or am I the type of God that is helpful, caring, loving, and does the right thing? So yeah, God's a very subjective title. Okay, Gloria, I see your question. How to stop spirits coming to have sex in a dream? Feels like something is attached to me, destiny, and blocking me from achieving anything in physical life. Thank you. Okay, I'm definitely going to answer that question, Gloria. Hold tight. Rahubat, who's calling? Where are you calling from? And what's your question, please?
My name is Rosalind. I'm calling from Canada.
Hey, Rosalind.
And hi, thank you. It's quite interesting following and learning. My question is, with the people that took the shots, of course, we've seen in the last couple of years the separation that happened through this process for some people who didn't take it and some people that took it. And a lot of couples broke up and things like that. And my question is, how do we navigate ourselves today with people that may have taken it, like intimately? How does that transmute to a person who didn't take the shot? Like if you're in a couple or married or just in general.
I got you. The thing is, when you say if you're with the person, how does it affect you? If you were with them anyway, that means you've already exchanged bodily fluids and DNA and everything. So you're already one. And I think when it comes to that situation, it's kind of like if it's done, it's done. Like you can't undo it. And so it's like being judgmental as well. Like it's like people that it's like saying that you're a couple and one is a Christian and one is a Muslim or whatever, and then you're gonna have conflicts because of it. Really, if you're both on a particular mindset, then you've got to let people be who they are, because like you say, some people will break up over that, but why do you need to? Yeah, it's not. It's like again, like voting. I can use as another example. It's like just because say you disagree with your politics in the house, or like I gave the example of religion, you should not allow these external things or something that going to divide you, because you might be voting one way and the other person is voting another way, but you still got to live together and coexist. And so you have to find peace. Always look at the common ground of, you come into this world by yourself and you leave on your own. So everyone's on their journey, and the decisions that people choose, it's their decision. Now, if they're going to bring you harm or come to you in a certain way, then it's your decision again to decide, do you want to be with that person or not? It's like, it's one of those questions. It's like, if you love your child, let's say, for an example, and they decided to have a particular sexual preference, are you not going to be their parent anymore because of their choice? Are you going to stop loving them because of that? So these are kind of subjective questions in terms of what's more important to you. How do you value the person and the fact that you're both on the journey? All right. Another caller?
Same person.
Okay. What they say?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay. Just mute your background. Are you ready?
Hey, Rahul back. Rahul back, can you hear me? Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, Rahul back.
I'll leave it with you.
Okay. So the other question is concerning the master teacher.
Right.
I've been listening to a lot of different videos concerning him and the situation that happened with him. Mm-hmm. And it's, on one level, it's quite interesting that he's been, teaching, and he's brilliant. And I watched some videos showing, what he created for people. And he's helping so many people just to understand intellectually what we've been living as people all over the world. I was originally born in America, but I live in Canada. Mm-hmm. And so today I'm looking at the situation with the construct of the system that's been put in place with, taxes and paying bills and the law system and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I know myself personally, when we talk about, owning land and how this whole system and how we understand the written word that mm-hmm. they have, and it's very complicated, and it's very hard for us to really understand the court system. So why I say that, when I think about what was happening in the 60s with, how they changed laws overnight, how they, accused our people. Mm-hmm. When I say our people, so I guess I just really wanted to speak it out to this.
I hear you. Yeah. Justice means just us, and meaning that it's not a fair system. As you know, as you said, going through the plight of Negroids, or Nagarnat, or as we say in our language, you can go back as far as you want to go to, like I say, Noble Jew Ali, to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and now Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, and the many, many, many others. It's the same formula that's been used over and over again, and organizations have been set up like COINTELPRO to literally, and it's happening even now, where with all that the master teacher has done based on truth, and even myself and people that are, championing, telling the truth and spreading love and unity, you will get attacked, you get infiltrators, you get what they call injustice, because you look at the Supreme Court, look at the people there, how many of those judges, you have one person that's supposed to represent you. You can go on and on, like any power structure. So it is clear that, we're disenfranchised in many ways, and we had to get to a point where we see it clearly for what it is, and our time has come, because the people that have implemented these, what you call empires, even from the old empires, which also passed away, because you can look at the Roman Empire, you know, the Greek Empire, you can look at Babylonian Empire, the old Babylon, and now the new Babylon. They've all fallen eventually, because the time that was allotted to them was only 6,000 years, and that has ended in the year 2000. The issue is that the residual nature that has been embedded in us by way of our programming and the DNA is what's keeping most people still trapped, even though Pana Babianun, Dr. Malachi Z. York, was actually selected by the forces of nature to come and, you know, bring this new cycle, this new time we're living in. And it's just about more people knowing and starting to wake up from the sleep. The sleep is called the spell of Leviathan, or the spell of Kingu, which is a hypnotic spell that makes people hate self and kind. They don't even realize that they're under this spell, the spell of religion. Religion is just one of the tools that makes you lose your power of who you really are and how to really express that. So Wu-Sabat is changing all of that, and the more people that wake up and start getting active and realizing that you can, like we did, we actually demonstrated this by, with the guidance of the master teacher, by buying and getting our own, which was originally our land anyway, by way of our ancestors, but we still ended up having to go and buy it, 476 acres of land, and rebuilt Tamaray. And like you say, we're living for and by each other peacefully with no problems. Everybody was invited. Every year they would come along and experience heaven on earth. And who but a devil would want to destroy that type of a situation where you see people from all walks of life getting along, no crime, nothing, and all these trumped up charges and, you know, lies, which is, like I said, they always do when they see the rise of a great nation. You know, they want to tear it down. There are people who it's in their interest to make sure that, you know, we don't come together as a people. So Wu-Sabat works because it's the only formula, the only one that firstly unites people mentally, giving you back your culture, not something somebody else created and handed over to you, like, you know, religions. Whether it's if you look at all the other organizations and nations before, we've learned the lessons from what happened, meaning that once the leader was taken away, or what they call the leader, in our case, you know, the master teacher says, walk beside me, not behind me or in front of me, because we're all one and working together. But once the so-called leader was taken away, the organization started to crumble. And that's because, like, when somebody else asked a question about egos, like, the master teacher made sure, like, he made everyone a God, given the information to everyone. So we are all over the world, and you know, it does, Wu-Sabat is bigger than him, it's bigger than me, it's bigger than us. And so the formula works because you have, for the first time, your own language, your own culture. No one can tell you what Wu-Sabat is but yourself, and the many things that come with it. So you've asked a very pertinent question, and it's the fastest movement right now for world peace, because, you know, that anxiety, that stress you get from lies has to be eradicated. You know, truth is what's going to prevail. They all say it, but they didn't realize how it was going to come, when it was going to come, and now it's here. So the best we can do is actually apply it, you know. So I hope that's given you something and helped, and I'm gonna move on if you don't have anything else you want to say.
Yes, thank you. That has helped. And I do have another question. Well, I'm not sure if it's a question, but I find it interesting that the master teacher says that he is from the planet Ritz, and that he has been sent here. And it's funny to me, at this time in our world, we have a lot of channels and people speaking on star seeds and beings coming from other planets and things like that. But it seems like when it's, I think a lot of people believe that these beings are only what we've been known to know as Caucasian people, and that there's no so-called dark-skinned entities from other planets, starseed.
Absolutely. I hear you. And again, you raise another very, very valid and interesting point, because when he came on the scene in the 60s, he came on the scene saying he was from Planet Risk and he was Yanun from the 19th galaxy and he's an extraterrestrial. But then nobody else was saying that. And he was being ridiculed and made to feel like he's crazy. And he used to say, listen, I come from a world where in time you were all going to see that I am not crazy. And as you say, ironically, he had to break down and explain that the beings you guys are calling angels and gods and in your books and in your Bible, in your religious world, these are also extraterrestrials. And so again, people were laughing, but when he actually really broke it down and you started to like take it on board, you're like, this actually makes sense. What is an extraterrestrial? Like something extra that's coming from outside into the planet. And if God is outside and Jesus is outside and he came from there and he went back there, then what's so crazy about that? But as you say, now, as time's gone on and the UAPs and the UFOs has become worldwide and it's getting to a point where the governments can't keep a lid on it anymore. Now everyone is talking about star seeds and everyone is this and everyone is that. And again, that's something that is created to create chaos, because then you don't know truth from falsehood. Just like black people, the history is hidden. When you went to school, you didn't really learn. They didn't want you to connect with Egypt. They didn't want you to know your true roots. And it's the same thing now with the extraterrestrial. There's now extraterrestrial racism, if you want to call it that, because like you say, Europeans and Caucasians would only talk about the Pleiadians and the Pleiades and how the Pleiadians built the pyramids, and everything's about, the Ashtar command and all of these Aldebarans and, beings from Andromeda and so on and so forth. But either that or they show you the greys, which are the entities that the big eyes and, the little slit mouths, and they just talk about greys and, they don't even really go into the reptilians. There are many species of extraterrestrials, but like you say, when you start to do the science and the facts, you find out that, black people built the pyramids. Black people are great. Black people are the fastest runners, the fastest this, the best musicians in intelligence, and you go on and on and on, and you're like, so why are we not represented in terms of extraterrestrials? But Partner Babylon is an extraterrestrial, and he's here. And instead of, okay, let's find out, put him to the test, let's talk to and find out. No, it's suppressed, it's hidden, he's made to be like, crazy and this and that, and then wrongfully incarcerated. But we know that it's a part of the process, because just like with there's no real comparison, but when Gandhi or Mandela, all these people were, incarcerated, is by that the world got to know about the injustice of, say, Mandela. But of course, we know that, they were afraid of what he was doing in terms of, the power he had by bringing people together and so on. So, yeah, Partner Babylon is here. We got to come together just like those situations and shout it from the top of the ceilings, let everybody know what's going on, and then get him freed so that he can help humanity, So you've asked some very, very touching questions. So I'm going to move on because there are so many people waiting for their questions to be answered. But thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's keep going with the chat. J Mac, for those of us who were sexually promiscuous, how do we restart? Is there any way to rid ourselves of these spirits? Yes, absolutely. These are the types of rituals and things we do in Wu-Sabat, and you can start to clean yourself inside out, and you have a lot of power mentally as well, because you can will things, but there are certain specific rituals in Wu-Sabat that will help you with that. But you have to be serious and ready to work and to start to study. Many of the scrolls are available in the Telegram chat. We mentioned like this one here in particular is a very powerful book called the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, but it is for both male and female, and it talks about the lotus of life and how to do exactly what you've just asked. There are many other scrolls, all right? So yes, it's not too late. It's always, no matter where you are, don't think that you've fallen so low that there's no, room to go up, or that you're so high that you can't come down. It's about realizing that your intentions, your sincerity, you can start tomorrow. Every day is a new day. You can start today. You can start now by just committing that to your mind and saying, I'm going to change. I'm going to start living this way, and just start to do it. It's as simple as that. But we have got other things within the journey to help you. Okay, let's keep going.
Someone sent in a video that they wanted to watch.
Let me just, okay, wait, let me finish this, because I said I was going to come back to Gloria. How to stop spirits coming to have sex in a dream. Feels like something is attached to me, destiny, and blocking me from achieving anything. Again, right, you do have succubus and incubus. These are, like we keep saying, like there are beings, disembodied beings, spiritual beings, that if you allow yourself, if you're not aware of what's going on, if you're not protecting yourself by your chants, by your environment, by your diet, by the things you've got around you, the tones, the vibrations, the music you listen to, the things that you're doing, then you open yourself up. Sometimes these entities will attach themselves to you, and there are rituals and things that you can do to get rid of them, all right? And all of this is within Wu-Sabat, so to answer your question, how to stop them is to read scrolls like Sex, Spirit Force, 30 spirits. There are so many scrolls, and if you join and come into Wu-Sabat, the Telegram group, most of these scrolls are already posted, all right? And all the chosen agents in there, we know you're in there too, but Wu-Sabat is about truth. When the truth comes, all false things shall perish. Claiborne Merit, why is there so many homosexuals now? I don't know when you mean now and where. They've always, again, people mix up homosexuals with homosexual, which is, something that is covered. There's a recording by one of our sisters called Gateways and the Guardians on YouTube that you can listen to, that goes in great detail to that. But in Wu-Sabat, we don't really do things like what people call gay bashing, or like judge people on their sexual preference, because it's their business. We stay out of people's bedrooms. We teach what is the way in Wu-Sabat, the Patarak, which is, what you're here as a male and a female to do, and what, your sexual orientation in terms of the best outcome for our legacy and our progeny. But we don't really, we're not homophobic and all of that, yeah. But there is over sexualization in the society, in the Western world, and people, because of these, like we say, in terms of like pornography and the 666 sex force, and the promotion of over sexualization, the music, the foods. There's so many things that, like when you look at milk, like homogenized milk, there are many factors that change DNA and people's DNA to act and behave a certain way. So Yes, just come in, read the scrolls, and you get more answers. I don't know, but you sent me a link and I'm tired of beating this horse. I've tried calling your store through WhatsApp and the Brooklyn store doesn't answer, and email I've sent screenshots for help. Sorry for that experience, DB, but if you're in the Telegram group, there is a WhatsApp group with the administration. And let me just touch on something as well, because I'm the person that's on the videos answering the questions, everyone thinks it's just me, but there is a whole team, like, you know, the brothers that do the filming, the editing, the administrators in the groups, and some of them just would take care of things, and, you know, they could look at a post and delete it. It's not personal, it's not me that is actually doing it. And but I'm saying that if you are in the group, we will definitely, I will look into that for you personally because of your frustration based on the way you've expressed it. So DB, please, yeah, we'll sort it out for you, and I'll make sure I look into what's going on with that for you. All right, all we can say is nadom, which means sorry. All right, let's keep going. Okay, go on then.
Guys, this is CJ calling from, or rather sending you a message from Botswana. I'd like to know, does dancing have anything to do with spirituality or the pineal gland in general? Like, what do you think about dancing or any type of dancing and connection to the spirituality and trying to connect with the universe or God in that sense? Are they related? Like, what happens if someone is in this zone of dancing, in the spirit? Like, what is happening in that sense?
Okay, so the question is, does dancing have an effect on the spiritual aspect? Absolutely. You know, because if you look at things like, you know, the Hopi, or like what people call, you know, Native Americans doing dancing, like the rain dance, you know, yeah, but in Wu-Sabat, we do have our own dance, and it's called the sway, because movement, everything is moving, and so certain types of movement create certain types of energy and vibration. As I said, like, you know, there are people that will dance and make it rain. They tell you the walls of Jericho was brought down by people chanting and, you know, dancing. So yes, it does have an effect, but it's what type of dance. Everything we do, you have to remember that in this 3D world, there's a duality, the agreeable and disagreeable. Some dances are provocative and will call on certain entities, you know, like over-sexualization, certain, you know, even like some of these artists, they're doing dances that are rituals. So it all depends on the dance, the movement, and the intentions and the energy behind it. Yes, dance definitely has that element of spirituality. Man, the question, let me read it. Yeah, because I wasn't sure, because capitals actually, it's like on social media, capitals are shouting, and I see like you have so many questions at the end of it. So I wanted to read it first just to make sure there wasn't any vulgarity or anything. So it says, I got a question. How do you protect yourself today? The same fit up as it's more happening today to our leaders. We protect, yeah, because we don't protect ourselves. We are very quick to run or turn our backs on our leaders, and, you know, but when you see any injustice being done to any other race, you know, the people, they make a fuss. Like, you couldn't get away with doing certain things, especially in certain communities. And we see that over and over again. But when it comes to us, this is what we're saying about breaking that spell, breaking that fear, you know, just being able to be like, we're one, we're together, we will all stand up and fight for our people and hold them in highest esteem like what other races do, you know. Like you said, you don't really see other races like, I don't know, Jewish, Chinese, Hindus being abused the same way that you will see the police brutality with us, because, you know, we don't come together like that. And that's one of our problems. That's what the master teacher is teaching us to do. All right, is that a question?
Yep.
All right, let's take that.
Just mute the video in the background.
This is what we're saying about breaking that spell.
All right, come back with that because the sound is still... Sorry, the first question was about God's last wish. I was reading something online. All right, again, why would God have a wish? Who is he wishing to? I don't, and again, it depends who you're talking about when you're saying God's last wish. How can God wish for something? Or is that referring to somebody that you're calling God? This is Lavi, if I'm pronouncing your name right. Okay. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question?
Oh, hi. My name is Rosalind. I'm calling from Canada. I'm calling again.
Hey. Robert.
Okay, so I was watching this video. It was called Dr. Malachi Z. York Update. This was done 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I gathered, it was brothers, sons of Dr. Malachi York, sons having a discussion about the situation with their father. And it seems to be some sort of separation between Sabian and the wu-nuwapu. Is that pronounced properly?
I'll help you with the pronunciation once you finish asking the question.
Yeah, so what's the difference between the two? I know he spoke about Sabians earlier, and I actually watched a documentary 2 days ago on the Arab race, mm-hmm. and how they've been split up, and they did speak about Joktan, who had like sons, and there was Sabians in there. So he explained earlier, you know, that the Sabians that the caller called in earlier is not the same group of people, mm-hmm. that Wu-Sabat is claiming to be. So I was just curious about, you know, what's the difference within the organization? Not that you're an organization, but what's the difference between Sabians and the Nuwapians?
Okay, I got you. So the name is Malachi, not Malachi, for one, and Nuwapian and Nuwabian. Is the difference is the B and the P, which is really going back to the language, because a B can be interchanged with the P. They're no difference, they're the same, although some people will claim they are, meaning that the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, took us through various schools, and we were known by many, many titles, because names are titles, and you have to break down each name and what it means to really fully understand it. Now, along the journey, along the way, which people may not realize was going backwards, meaning that starting with originally he came wanting to teach us the science of wu-nuwapu or nupu, which is Nuwapian, ties into Sabian. I already explained about the tie-in of Sabas to Sheba or Makeda or Ma'at Kare, known as Belkis in the Islamic world, all the way back to the stars. But the point I'm making is that there's a great falling away, meaning that each school he went through, so he wanted to teach us wu-nuwap. We weren't ready for it because the questions everybody kept asking was on religion. And so what he did was kind of put it away in its pure form, but embedded it throughout the questions and the religious schools that we went through. So every school, whether it was, you know, when he was teaching us, you know, about Yoruba, when we moved on from that, some people dropped off. When we went through to Islam, you know, when we moved out of Islam school and went into, like, he's teaching us about, you know, the life and times of what people call Jesus and Christianity, when we moved from that, teaching, you know, the Judaic schools, many people, every school we went through, some people dropped off because they got so comfortable, or they were like in that school that they were comfortable in, like being a Muslim or being a, you know, an Israelite or a Jew. Or, and as we went on into the Egyptology, into the Sumerian doctrine, some people till this day, they got stuck in the Sumerian school or got stuck in Egyptology. And as we were walking backwards back into our culture of Wu-Sabat, and being known throughout history, throughout different, you know, time periods by different names, now to the point where we're so divided and so segregated that some people don't want to move away. So he put out a book called Let's Set the Record Straight. They don't want to move away, even the Native American school, but we were walking all the way back to ancient Africa, pre-dynastic, to our culture. So to answer the question, even within the family, with the different children and so on, like any family, there will be certain conflicts. And I think we should go this way, we should do that. And over the years, many things have had to be implemented in terms of how we can manage this situation, because remember, there's a lot of trauma. Many people forget that this is somebody's father, this is somebody's husband, this is somebody's uncle, right? And so tensions do get to a point where some people are fed up, they're tired, and then infighting starts. And then you have agents and moles and, you know, FBI agents and all kinds of people that they don't want his release and want him to come out. So yeah, it's a very tiring situation, but what we're not going to do is, like some people do is wash their dirty linen in public, as they say. Family business is family business, and some people want to stay outside and they don't become a part of the family so they can help solve the problems. Instead, they want to gossip and run with it, and it's just sensationalism, and you know, we're not about that. So that's why we say, come into the group, come on Telegram, ask your questions, you know, be a part of the fight, be a part of the solution, and not a part of the chaos and the problem. But we've got another call, so let's take that call. Caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
I tell you, Ashok, Sunrise, I'm out here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, Rahul.
How you doing?
Ashok.
Robert, Ashok.
Anuki Kawas Samal Tawuta. Wuanta?
Muta Wawe. Nuki Muta Hamad. I'm very grateful. Very grateful.
Wawe.
Ashok, quick question. Should we be preparing to retake the planet or leave the planet? And if the second one is the real answer, what preparation should we be making to leave the planet?
Got you. Right. The answer is both. Whilst we're here, we still have to be the best and do the best and have the best and do, you know, live the best that we can. And that comes with guidance as well, because remember, the master teacher knows the plan. He knows what we do, when we do it, how we do it. He has been guiding us throughout, you know, and anyone who's been around for a long time knows he's protected us, he's loved us, he's cared for us, tells us what's going to happen, when it's going to happen before, and before it does. So the first thing is we got to come together. Love and unity will free him, like he says, the heart. So you have to do this from the heart with sincerity. It's not about what people think you're doing, it's what you really are doing from your heart, right? So yes, we are seeing the fall of Babylon, and we're making preparations to come out of her, my people. And that, you know, that's again prophecy, where it said that we will need to come out of her. And where we're going and when we're going and how we're going to get there, that's all something that our ancestors, the Panatharu and the master teacher knows, but we can't do that without him. And in terms, you should be doing both. Yes, in terms of preparing to leave here, you know, we put out the video that explains the update. I think the sister was referring to, where he was explaining about, and he's been doing this from day one. Go back and read the scrolls about your barothry gland being removed and how you're not able to fully function because it has to be replaced for you to use your full capacity of your brain. So he explained about beings that are chosen, the 144,000, which again is it's another number that the chaos and the confusion is created by other people and other, like, you know, like the Bible references and so forth, because a lot of the times the chaos and the confusion is what makes people confused. Like, what am I talking about? I thought the 144,000 were taken in Nome, Alaska, but you're talking about 144,000 being taken to receive the barythry gland to leave here. So the work of Wu-Sabat is both physical and spiritual. This is why we say it's the 360 degrees of the unseen world as well as the 360 degrees of the physical world. So physically, you've got to prepare your mind, making sure that because your mind governs your actions and your thoughts. So you've got to be eating right, doing the chants, spreading Wu-Sabat, practicing love and harmony, all of that. And then spiritually, you've also got to be doing the things like you're learning about how to communicate with your ancestors, the meditation, and all the spiritual practices that the master teaches us. And we have orders for the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the young student association, the elders, where you get more information, and we go into things that are not going to be, like they say, you're not going to take pearls and just throw them to swine, to use that quote. So it's very important to come inside, and so you can be a part of these orders where you get some of these spiritual and practices and rituals. So that's what we say: join the brotherhood, join the sisterhood, come inside, because we give so much, publicly, but we have things that are not going to be divulged publicly. So to go back to my brother, my Zamal's question, i.e. Zamal is, just both. It's a balance, both sides. Be preparing for your, possibility of returning and receiving your barythry gland and being taken away. Or if you're not, you still got to be the best you can living in the physical world. I hope that really answered the question for you. JX, thank you so much for your donation. What has the master teacher said regarding the Vedic scriptures and their supreme being Krishna? Do the Vedas come from Wu-Sabat? Yes, they do, to answer the question, in the sense that, you see, people be like, what about this scroll? What about the Ethiopian Bible? What about the Maccabee? What about this and what about that? It's all already inside the holy tablets, which he covered and then moved on, and it has expired in the sense that it's constantly giving us more. Remember, this is a being with 76 trillion years of knowledge. And so what I'm saying to answer the question is that when we're dealing with the races on the planet, you have 9 ether, which is us, the Negroid, woolly hair, tightly curled in terms of our hair. The other races, because every race has a unique feature that nobody else has. When you start to look at the Negroid, you look at the hair, you're dealing with proteins in terms of the melanin, dealing with, and that's just the hair dealing with, and then the skin and dealing with the brain and the neuromelanin. And then you see, okay, who came from us? The next race would be these beings that you're calling the Hindu beings, because they have dark skin like us, but they have straight woolly fur, right? Not woolly, sorry, straight fur. And that was their unique thing, because when you read the holy tablets, it explains about the 9 ether green light beings, and then it talks about these amber light beings, or these supreme beings, and they are the ones that were cursed and came down here. And not everyone is agreeable and not everyone is disagreeable. You have both in all the races. You can read about, these Hindu beings and Krishna and all of that in the holy tablets as well. So I'm saying that to say that everything and everyone comes from us as the original. Then from the those 6 ether, straight hair, dark skinned beings, you get the next down the line of the root races being the Caucasian, with who is an Asian, in terms of they still have the straight 6 ether fur, but then they now are melanin recessive, or they lose most of the melanin. So you go from Negroid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid. That's African, Asian, yeah, and Caucasian, or African Mongoloid, Caucasoid. And you know, you can go into the scientific terms and the terms that anthropologists are using, like Homo naledi, Homo habilis, to the Asian being the Homo florensis or the Denisovan, to the Caucasian being the Neanderthal or the Cro-Magnon. You know, so everyone originally comes from us in any way, shape or form you want to look at it, whether it's skin, whether it's DNA, whether it's hair texture, and that's a reality, that's a fact. This is not racism. So yes, you have good beings, agreeable and disagreeable. And if you read the chapter in the Holy Tablets called The Scientist, it goes into that. I think it's maybe chapter 3, all right? Krishna is where the whole, like, because people will say Hinduism is old in terms of a religion. It is. Some people say it's not a religion, but you see the word Krishna became Christos, became Christ. Yeah, this is how it all ties in. Abraham comes from Brahma, you know, became Abram or Abram, and then it became Abraham. And you can do this all the way through with, you know, the different people. But wow, we've only got 14 minutes left, so I'm going to try and, you got another one?
You've got one donation, and then I've got a question after.
Which donation, JX?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's the one I just answered.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This person asked this question. It says, single women that bring forth babies via a sperm donor.
I see, life is a blessing, yeah? Single women that bring forth babies via a sperm donor, what type of being is the baby? Does that affect the type of spirit the child becomes? Well, when you say what type of being is the baby, it's going to be from the source of the sperm. The sperm comes from a man, right? And that man is the DNA that obviously with the mother as well. So that's actually a really good question, because you know, women can go to, like, you know, to these organizations and get sperm from sperm banks, just like people get blood from blood banks, right? So the question is, are you just choosing wildly, like you're just picking anything, or is there a process to learn and know who the donor is? Because if you get a donor from someone who, let's say, was a serial killer, or someone that is disagreeable or negative or whatever, then it's going to be in that DNA. So it's important to choose wisely. So the being is going to come out based on, you know, the two parents' makeup and the spirits that being is attached to, because everyone has, you know, the 29 or less personalities within them. So the reason is because you're dealing with 4 generations, and you have to subtract yourself from the 30 because you're still alive, and then you subtract anyone else who's alive. So if your parents are alive, then you would subtract 2. So now instead of the 30, you're subtracting 3, yourself and your 2 parents. So you will have 27 personalities that are within your matrix, made up of the, you know, the mother side, the father side of all the 4 generations, and the spirits and entities that they took on in terms of their mixing, you know, which partners they exchange bodily fluids with. Because when you're exchanging bodily fluids, you often hear people say that the life is in the blood. It's because energetically you're also exchanging that energy. It's not just the physical aspect, because you're dealing with, as I said before, the physical ethers, and we actually have a master secret called the physical ethers that you should read, because everything comes from ether and slows its vibration into the physical, right? So yeah, the type of being is going to be based on the makeup of, you know, where you're getting that donor from. Does that affect the type of spirit the child becomes? Absolutely. You know, it's just like choosing your partner. This is why in Wu-Sabat you're really supposed to do your due diligence in terms of, you know, like today you talk about designer babies. People just mix with people because, oh, I want my child to have green eyes, or, you know, but they don't realize genetics is such an important factor. So you need to check the blood types, diseases in the family. Again, I mentioned this actual fact. You know, the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine goes into great detail. There's another excellent scroll called Genetic Kiss by the Master Teacher Parnabab Yanun that goes into great detail about exchanging bodily fluids and spirits and, you know what I mean, different things by a mixture or coming together of two people. Is one extraterrestrial more superior than another? It depends on what you mean superior. Yes, just like I've already just explained, it's just the beings on the planet are descendants, as in they came down, or as in offspring of extraterrestrials. So as you see the root races on the planet, meaning, like I said, like the three root races, you say who is more superior. But when you say superior, it depends on what you're measuring and why you would say the word superior, because that can be also an egotistical thing. But you have all types of species of reptilians that are very, you know, in terms, it depends what you're measuring. Is it strength? Is it mind control? You know, what are we calling superior? But yes, to answer the question, some extraterrestrials are more superior than others because, like, the reptilians that were abducting the Greys and the Romadians, they were subjugating them because obviously they're stronger than them. And so, yeah, we have to be very specific when we say superior. Do you as a Sabian stay in a relationship with children if your mate doesn't care to practice Wu-Sabat or leave? Again, that all depends on the priority would be the children. And in any relationship, you shouldn't really, again, that scroll I mentioned goes into that. You shouldn't really be, we got a part of that called sexual violations of Wu-Sabat that go into great detail about. We've also got one called soulmates that you can read. But in terms of the commandments, the 33 commandments goes into a lot of detail in terms of, you know, what you do and what you don't do in a relationship. But you have to think about the children. If your mate doesn't care to practice Wu-Sabat, then yeah, it may mean ultimately for the, you know, the best outcome for the children. Like in any relationship, if it doesn't work, what you know, there are rules within Wu-Sabat how you would part or leave. Even though that would be the last resort, you know, everything has to be done to reconcile and, you know, do the conflict resolution and all that. But eventually, if the best, not just for the children, but for both of you to leave, then that would be what you do. Right?
Okay, that scroll I mentioned goes into that. You should read the,
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna go.
I'm caught in time and time. I'm time traveling. I can hear myself. Rahubat.
Okay. Hello?
Rahubat.
Okay, hi. It's Rosalind again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really enjoy these lessons, and I think it's interesting and important to tell the people that have gone through this journey of going through all these religions, and something comes over them when it is time for them to leave. But that they know that that journey has been actually sort of guided and led. So I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you, and I'll be calling in a lot.
That's okay. That's good. You know,
But,
sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the only other thing is I find that because I'm in Canada, a lot of things that we try to order or, you know, through the internet, unless you have like series of credit cards and different types of things like that, it's become a problem. And to become a member and to get on the Telegram and all that, it's a little bit complicated. So anyways, I'm going to keep trying. I'm still trying. And, you know, I feel like once this energy or spirit, whatever you want to call it there, opens the door for me, it'll work. So
it will. That positive energy. Yeah.
I'm completely in tuned, and I did hear you speak some weeks ago about dyslexia and attention deficit, and I thought that was great because a lot of people have been diagnosed with these strange disorders, right? And they put them on medications or try to do all kinds of stuff. But for me, I'm so grateful because it has proven the questions that I was asking throughout my life, and that the language was an issue. The grammar process that we learned in school, I could never get it. It just didn't make sense to me. I couldn't express myself properly in this language, English, and the barrier between, you know, when we meet other Nubians, if for a better word, and that I knew that there was a language, you know, a frequency that we were supposed to really be communicating in, right down to the music, right? As an artist, I'm an artist, so this was a problem. So all these things have been confirmed for me, and I'm so grateful that, you know, years ago I went to Atlanta and I found this book in this bookstore, this little tiny book, and it was just this one book from Dr. The master teacher. I'm excited. I'm nervous.
It's all right. Go ahead.
I'm so grateful because as an American born, living in Canada, I felt very isolated, even within our people, because they're so separated. And, you know, you got the Jamaicans and you got the Trinidadians, and, you know, and everybody has this, you know, this separateness going on. And I'm just grateful. And I just, you know, want everything to go forward, and that I'm glad that you explained and broke down the non-ether down to through the different races, because I know that, like myself, I know there's a lot of us Nubians, we don't have hate in our hearts. We actually love all the people, and, you know, there is not, we don't want to isolate them and let them know that, like, the ones that have the ability to be truthful and honest and have love for each other. We want everybody on the planet to be able to play in the playground. So anyways, that's it. Bye.
Thank you. You made so many points. I'm trying to remember them all. But the first one I thought was really important is, yes, we are very welcoming. And I know it can be daunting for someone who's been in a religion that has lied to them all their life, and they actually thought that, you know, I'm going to go to this place called heaven, and, you know, Peter's going to be at the pearly gates, and, you know, like, even the whole, like, story of about, like, Father Christmas and Easter bunnies and Valentine's Day and all these pagan or rituals that go back to the, you know, to pagan rituals or practices that have been embedded into, like, religion, Christianity, Islam. And, you know, like, when you come across the truth and it's like you've been lied to all your life, it can be a shock at first, and it can be like, well, what happens to me now? Because you have to relearn and know what you're calling heaven, what you're calling hell, what you're calling gods, what you're calling angels, what's going to happen to you when you cross over, you know, etc., etc. All the questions you've had all your life that never got answered. And we are telling you that you don't need to be afraid, because we're not just pulling the carpet from under your feet and you just left, like, what happens to me now? I'm lost. No, this is a, like the good sister said on the call, you were walking through that, that was a start. It's a stepping stone to come into Wu-Sabat, where it's the final journey. And so don't feel like isolated. Don't feel, you know, apprehensive. Just take it a day at a time. And yes, we can link up with people even where there are no shops or communities, because these days it's, you know, globalization. We're online. You can start off online and then work your way to the nearest community. But yeah, I'm just so glad that, you know, we're here, and we're here to help, do our best. And when you feel that passionate, because a lot of people are passionate, they come to the truth, they finally get their questions answered, and we meet so many people, and some people talk, but they don't actually follow through with actions. And, you know, a lot of people they're just gassing. But like the master says, I sift through the many to find those real sincere souls, those people that really want to turn themselves back inside out to being a supreme being. So it's not going to be everyone. You can never please everyone. All you can do is your best. And I just want to, we've run out of time, but I'm going to just touch on one or two quick things. The person, Ashmiman, says, can you tell them about how the Asians sell their hair to us with bad spirits in it? Yeah, in fact, look out for a very, very good video we're going to be dropping soon, maybe this Friday, where we did speak, you know, I was speaking to a young person, and we covered this aspect of, you're right, when we were talking about the exchanging of energy. You know, like you say, a lot of people buy the hair where they say, is this real hair instead of synthetic hair? And, you know, these are from, some of these hair, straight hair from Asians that do rituals to, you know what I mean, get rid of negativity and certain spirits. And then they realize that, you know, our sisters buy it, so they sell it to us. And it's gone from synthetic hair to real hair, and they spend so much money on it. But yeah, I'm reading that because, yeah, that the comment from Armiman, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, says how the Asians sell their hair to us with bad spirits in it. So yeah, I've done that.
Did you get the last donation as well?
Who?
Wu-Sabat connect with the Supreme Being?
No, I didn't. Who's that from?
JX.
Oh yeah, I got it, JX. I thought I had done that one. Thanks again for your donation. How does Wu-Sabat connect with the Supreme Being? Does the Holy Tablet explain how Wu conducts its culture and beliefs? You're already a Supreme Being. You just got to, when you say connect with the Supreme Being, it depends which, there are many Supreme Beings, but we are Supreme Beings. We've just forgotten and have fallen in terms of knowing who we are, our powers, etc. But the Holy Tablet, if you want to practice the culture of Wu-Sabat, you're really looking at the hereafter doctrine, which is dealing with all the information like the master secrets, the actual facts, and the way, or Pataruk. The Holy Tablets was really the completion of everything that the religious books were trying to convey, but they couldn't, and they didn't have all the actual facts or the information. So that one book covers all of religion and beyond, and then closed the chapter in terms of the end of religion, which was in the year 2000. And then we started to get Wu-Sabat or wu-nuwapu in its full pristine quality. And little after that, 2002, Master Teacher was kidnapped because of it was like, can't stop this now, and the amount of impact it was having on the world. So yes, we've gone over by 4 minutes. The rest of the questions that didn't get answered, please join the Telegram group. The link has been posted, and all are welcome to join the official Wu-Sabat Telegram, where you can ask questions to the many student teachers, and we have some excellent teachers, yeah, in the group. So because you can imagine how overwhelming it would be for one person to answer all the questions, and the group is so busy. Every time you look away and come back, lots of new questions, lots of new members. And so, yeah, you can help as well. That's what I was trying to say. When you have that type of passion, do your bit, you know, don't leave it to just us to do. Everyone has something to give. So until next week, remember you can do our online course that fast tracks you, and or you can get the physical book, Fast Track Your Spiritual and Conscious Journey. If you're new, trying to find your way, that's a good foundation or orientation that you can then go, okay, like the master did with us. He took us on a long journey on a short path, meaning lots of information you've got to absorb in a small period of time. What this does is all the questions that people have been asking today is answered in there with references, and you can then get your feet on the ground firmly to know, okay, what do I do next? All right. So we want to thank everyone that tuned in today. As usual, without you, there would be no Ask Us Anything, because you are asking us the questions, and we are honored. You know, I'm just so glad for Partner Babianun and waking us up. So until next week, same time, same place, OSM Vision, our souls matters. Ask Us Anything. Wadu.